Welcome back to Level Up. I'm John Cale. Hey, thanks for coming back to listen in on the third and last episode around Vibe Check My Life. Where am I really headed? First episode, we talked about one of the three things that needed to happen with a relook at your life and vibe checking your life, and that was taking a look at the people in our life. The second thing that we did in episode 2 was look at the choices of your life. And today, I feel is probably, obviously as important, if not more important, looking at you. That third piece of that change is you. Because all the stuff we talked about in episode 1 and 2, if you don't do something, then you just wasted your time listening into the podcast. Okay. So I want you to purpose in this last episode, as we go through this over the next 20 or 30 minutes, to take this information about what we're going to tell you about what you need to do and begin to cultivate a plan that's going to make a difference in vibe checking your life and where you're really headed. Okay. So, I guess I would start by saying to you, how are you really doing in life? How are you feeling today? As you're listening in to this podcast, how are you really doing? Are you happy with your life? Are you enjoying life? Are you stressed about life, right? Last episode, we talked about a statistic that said that 47% of you do not feel like you're attaining and getting to the places where you really need to go in life. 53% of you said that you're not able to get to where you want to be in life and you're kind of frustrated, all right? Here's another question. Do you really like you? Do you really like you? When you look at yourself in the mirror, do you like you? What drags you down about you? I think all of us would agree if we're just real, right? Like we walk by a window, we walk by a mirror, we kind of glance in and maybe even stop and check out. Like, how do we look? Does everything look cool? Am I good? Right? What drags you down about you? What are the things that really, really bring you down that you don't like about yourself, right? Things that maybe you don't share with other people, but they're very real in your life, right? Maybe it's your looks. Maybe you think your head is shaped weird. Maybe you don't like your hair. Maybe you don't like your eyebrows. Maybe you don't like your lips. Maybe you think you're too skinny. Maybe you think you're too fat. Maybe you don't like your voice, right? I don't know. But what is it about you that drags you down, right? Is it a success factor? Do you allow a lack of success or where you think you should be in your life to bring you down and discourage you? Do you let other people's opinions affect you? How much weight do you allow those opinions to have in your life? When someone says something negative to you, this is really funny. I used to tell my daughter this when she was little. She's now 37. I tell my son who's 15 this, and I've told hundreds of other people this little illustration, right? I believe every day when you get up, you have an option. You have one of two suits that you can pretend to put on your body, right? You can put on the sponge suit when you go out into your day. And for those of you who know what sponges are, you can actually, what happens to a sponge? When a sponge gets wet and gets stuff on it, it becomes so much heavier, like multi-times heavier than when it's dry. Why? Because it absorbs and holds the water or the fluid, right? Well, if you put on the sponge suit and that's what you wear and people are throwing stuff at you, guess what happens? You get weighed down so much that you're just like, you stop walking and you're just laying there in a puddle of sponge, right? You're done. Or you could choose to put on the rubber suit every day. And the rubber suit, what happens when something hits rubber? It bounces off, right? Doesn't weigh us down. You could walk through life every day with the rubber suit on and let things bounce off of you and not let them get to your skin, not let them get under your skin, not let them weigh you down and put too much pressure on it. So are opinions bothering you about liking you? Can I ask you, what is the little voice inside your head saying to you on a daily basis? And I think all of you listening in know what I'm talking about. We have a ongoing, I don't know if I'd call it a dialogue or a monologue, I'm not quite sure, with ourself. We have this ongoing conversation with ourself every day, right? This self-talk about ourselves, right? Like, look, I'm too big, or again, I'm too fat, or I'm going bald, or, whatever it is, you have this talk with yourself where in most cases, you're not building yourself up. This little voice is saying things to you that are negative, and they're kind of beating you down, and you're not feeling positive or good about yourself. Okay. What are some of the things that you think about yourself? All right. So the word of the day today is renewal. Renewal. What does renewal mean? Renewal means making new again, a fresh start. Okay. That's what renewal means. And that is where you are at as we've been going through episode 1, episode 2, and now episode 3, our final piece to redoing my vibe, right? Check my vibe, and going in a different direction to make positive decisions to make your dreams come true and get to where you feel better about you and you have more success in life. You're at a point where you have to now make a decision and have renewal. You got to make stuff new and have a fresh start. So I want you to purpose today with this word of the day, renewal, that today is literally the day that you can make the decision. Not everything's going to happen, but you can make a decision today that it's going to be a day where things are going to change in my life. Like this could be your day, like the last episode where you pivot and you pivot in a different direction, and life, you'll be able to point back to this and say, I remember that day, that time in my life where I decided I was going to start fresh. Okay. And I hope that that's one of the things that you'll do. It's kind of like, when you get up in the mornings, there are just some mornings when you get up and you really slept well, and you get up and you just like, everything seems fresh and new, and you feel like, it's clean slate. Nothing's happened today. My day's just open and everything's cool, right? Everything's new, like a new morning, and yesterday is gone. That's kind of where you need to be in your life today, making that decision. To make real changes and get direction, you have to determine to change these things. Okay. You can't just think about it. There are a lot of people, when I used to go to the gym a lot, and I was younger and I used to work out really hard, multiple days a week, working out, lifting, all those things. It amazed me because I would go in there and I'd be working out, man. I'd be sweating up a storm, just busting it, right? On all kinds of weights and aerobic machinery. And there were this group of older dudes who would come in there, and they were retired, really cool guys. A couple of them, I think Italian guys, actually. They'd come in, they'd have their workout stuff on, they'd have a towel around their neck. And I would laugh because I would watch them come into the gym, and they'd walk around the locker room first, right? Like they'd talk to everybody who was putting their shoes on or whatever. Yeah, what's going on, and they'd talk. And then they would head out into the gym, right? And I'd be out there working out for like an hour. And these guys would go around machine to machine and talk to people while they were working out. And then they would leave. Like after 45 minutes or so, these guys would like walk off the floor and come back into the locker room. And again, talking to people in the locker room. Yeah, I'm going golfing today. And here's the deal. They never worked out. They went to the gym. They were with the gym people. They were watching, people were sweating around them. All the equipment was there. Everything they needed to do what they needed to do to work out, because why? They were at a gym. That's what you're supposed to do, is work out. They never touched a machine, right? They never, ever touched a machine because something happened in their heads that made them think, hey, I'm at the gym and I feel good. I feel like I worked out. I was over there while John worked out, and Bob and Tom and Sally and Susie, right? But they never worked out. Okay. And I guess what I would tell you is it's kind of similar to us. There are people who think that when they think something in their head and they've got this plan, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Somehow they believe that magically from their head, this will pop out and someone will come along and do these things and set it up for them. And then they'll have all of these things take place in life the way they want. Okay. Here is the newsflash. That's not going to happen. Just because you think about something doesn't mean it's going to happen. So you have to move from thinking about it to I'm going to do something. You have to do it. Okay? You have to do it. You need to tell people around in your life, right, that you're going to make some changes, because again, without you, all the stuff we're talking about is not going to work. Resetting your life isn't failure. It's proof that you've grown past your old limit. Resetting your life isn't failure. Just because you got to reevaluate, change a new direction, do something different, doesn't mean you throw your hands up and say, I quit, I'm a loser. Why don't you shoot me, baby? Right? Isn't that an old, there's a song from a long time ago that I think says that, to be honest. It's proof that you've grown past your old limit. Okay. What do I mean by that? Hey, listen, if you're 25 years old and I come over to your house to see you and I come in to say, hey, what's up, and hang out, and you're playing with G.I. Joe, and you got him out in a tub of water playing with G.I. Joe and dressing him in army fatigues, I'm going to be going, dude, what is up with you? Okay. Why? Because you're over that. At 25 years old, if you're playing with G.I. Joe, you're out. Wait, you have not expanded who you are. Or you're playing with Barbie, or you're trying to wear old clothes or shoes, or you're still playing with toys that you had when you were 10. I'm going to be like, what are you doing? You're 25 years old or 30 years old. You're playing with kids stuff, right? Now, every once in a while, I get it, right? It's just cool to pick a squirt gun up, blast somebody. A Nerf gun. Nerf guns are always okay, no matter what age you are. Pick up a Nerf gun and shoot people with that in your household. Nerf gun, right? It's okay to do that. Don't shoot your dogs because it really freaks them out. Don't shoot your dogs with a Nerf gun. But, your brothers, your sisters, yeah, sure, fair game. Blow them up. But I'm being honest with you, right? You reach a point in your life where you have to get past your old limit. You can't stay in the same place. You don't fit there anymore. Those things don't work in your life anymore, okay? So realize changing your life isn't failure. It means you've reached a new point. You got to move on. And I think that's where many of you who are listening in today are, right? You're at a point. I was at a restaurant last night I was at Mike's place over in Kent. And our server that worked with us, I said, hey, so what, I talk to people. So, hey, what's your deal? Are you going to school? Is this your full-time gig? And she's like, yeah, no, I finished college and I was going to go and I wanted to be a police officer and, that kind of a thing. And I've moved an hour away and now I'm still working here because I like this place. And I'm just so confused. I really don't know what to do with my life. I need direction. And I'm like, hey, I do a podcast. And right now you need to watch these 3 episodes that I'm doing because this is exactly where you're at. Right? This is going to help you. And she actually had grown out past where she was. She was confused. She needed to get past where she's been and move on to a new place. Okay. And as a result of that, you need to understand that you're going to see progress and change only when you stretch out past the limit, right? So look at failure differently. So there are 4 things we need to look at when we talk about you, and we talk about you and resetting the vibe, getting your dreams to come true, working down that road to bring success in your life in a more quick fashion than things have been in the past. There are 4 things that I want to share with you. Number 1, you've got to not go negative and make excuses, right? This is on you. Don't go negative and don't make excuses. Okay. I hear this so many times. This is where most people go. When people are presented with something new that needs to be done to make them better or change the direction in their life, they immediately go negative. Well, I can't do that. And that, this would happen and this would have to take place. They begin to build a story around why they can't do it. Okay. It's amazing to me, but they do. And then, in addition to building a story, they start making excuses, right? And that's where most people go. They find the reason why I can't do something, right? It's like the guy playing dodgeball when you used to be a kid, right? And you played dodgeball out on the playground, or you played in the gym, right? You're up against the wall and you're waiting for your time, right? You're standing there and you're scared to jump out, but eventually you start running to the middle to get a ball, and then you're like, oh no, I can't make it. I go back. Right. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm going to catch a ball. I'm going to catch one and somebody's going to be out. And then you're ready. And then someone comes up and throws and you're like, oh, I can't catch that one. And you go back. Right. You start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. But you may never succeed in catching the ball or grabbing a ball from the center and hitting somebody else and getting somebody out. Right. Because you're constantly seeing stuff coming at you and you avoid it. Okay. You stay away from it. So don't look at the reasons why you can't. Right? Start to think about all the reasons why you can. Rather than go negative, make a list of things to find the reason why you can do it. What are the things that are in place to help you do it? Okay. Sometimes, again, people go negative and find excuses. Back to last episode, fear. They can't get past fear, and fear puts them in the emotional prison. You cannot allow fear to rule over you, because it will lock you in for real, an emotional prison, and your life will stop progressing. All right. Some people feel stupid, right? They start making excuses because they feel stupid or they're afraid to look stupid. So going negative and excuses, you have to get past them. Why worry about all the people around you who think that you think care about you, right? So many times we worry about people around us and what they think, and they don't even really care about you, right? They probably might not even notice you, right? They don't care. So they won't even know about your success anyway. So stop worrying about people and their opinions, right? And letting that demotivate you. The second thing I want you to think about when we talk about you is I want you to think about self-esteem, right? This is a biggie. What is self-esteem? Self-esteem is the internal sense of self-worth. It is what you think of yourself inside, okay? It goes back to this ongoing dialogue with the little voice in your head that you have with yourself that is constantly potentially beating you up and telling you why you're not enough, right? Why your looks aren't enough, why your hair's not enough, why your performance at work isn't enough, why you can't play sports, why you can't lift enough, why you don't have the right truck, why you can't do this and that, right? Self-esteem, right, is the internal conversation of self-worth that you feel about yourself. It literally influences how you will approach the challenges, the relationships, and the opportunities of your life. This one here is a game stopper. If you allow your self-esteem and that inner voice that you keep hearing that puts yourself down and makes you feel your value is, 2 on a scale from 1 to 10 always, and you don't realize that you're very unique and that you have things about you that other people don't have, and you need to be all that you can be, right? Be all that you can be. That used to be, I think, the Marine logo. I'm not sure. But you need to be all that you can be. There's only you, one you, and you can be everything that you were created to be, okay? And that internal voice of self-esteem, that self-esteem and the way you see yourself is a very powerful tool. So here's the question for you. On a scale from 1 to 10, where are you today? For those of you listening, right? Where are you? Is your self-esteem a 1? Like you barely believe you can do anything? So guess what happens? You don't. You don't do anything because you're a 1. Or those of you who say you're a 10. I'm super positive I can do, right? There's such a thing as going too far with self-esteem and being stupid, okay? And I want you to understand that. You can't have the I can do anything mentality and I'll be the greatest at it, because you won't be, all right? You can be very positive, very self-confident in who you are and what your abilities are and what your skill sets are that are naturally genetically given to you or what you've learned. Absolutely. But don't let it go to the point where you lose your mind and do something stupid. Okay. Don't do that. Because then, something may happen. I had a situation like this with my son. He's great. He's a sophomore in school right now. He's going to have his permit here in about 2 months. And I let him move the cars around the driveway. He does really well moving them. They're straight. He backs them in, pulls them in, and always, respectful. And we had some friends up from Florida a couple months ago, and he's like, "Dad, I want to move the car because I'm going to shoot basketball." Okay, cool, yeah. And he didn't come back for a while. And he came back in the house, and he tossed me the keys, like, "Yeah, cool, thanks for the ride." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, sure, right." Like you went somewhere in my car, and you didn't do that. And he looked at me and he was like, "Yeah," and he started to turn around and walk away. And I'm like, "Denton, for real, you didn't do that, right?" He's like, "Yeah." And here, I don't know what happened, but he lost his mind, right? Something happened in his head where the little voice said to him, "Hey, it's okay. You're just driving around the development." And he took the car and went around the development with my car. And I'm like, what happened in your head? Like, where did your brain go? What happened to you that you left your body and didn't think right? And he didn't know. He's like, well, I didn't think, and so he was confident in his ability to handle the car and drive around. And he did all right. I think he was fine in the development. But here's the problem. He didn't understand all the stuff on the other side of his confidence. His confidence caused him to do something really dumb. He was too confident, okay? And when I explained to him that, you could have hit a dog or somebody or hit a mailbox or another car and I would get sued and you wouldn't drive for 3 more years, then it was like, oh, wow, I didn't understand that. So my point is this: don't let your self-confidence be too much, because you could do something that's not so wise, okay? So where are you today? 1 to 10. Are you on the bottom end, middle, top of that scale? Okay. Here are several things that affect your self-esteem. Inputs and upbringing, right? Things that have been input into your life, things you've seen, heard, watched, participated in, and your upbringing, like the culture of your home and your home life and your family. All of those things can play into your self-esteem. All of us really are products of our childhood. And there are things that have happened to us in our childhood that honestly are probably still affecting us, even though you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, up years old. Doesn't matter. 20, it can go on and bother us. And some of that stuff's severe and others isn't so severe. But you need to understand and realize it. Here's what I want to tell you about self-esteem. The last thing: don't miss your life because you won't do something. Okay? You're at a point here where you're young enough, right? Most of you who are watching and listening, where you have the ability to steer and change your life. Like if you feel like you want to change careers and you want to go a different direction, you can. If you're 60, if you're 50, maybe a little problem, okay? But at the end of the day, what I want you to understand is that, you have the ability to still change some things up. Okay. And so don't allow your self-esteem to demotivate you and keep you locked in a box. Don't get into the prison of fear, emotional prison, right? Don't do that. So don't miss your life. Determine that no matter what the voice is saying, it's just a voice. It's not reality. Okay. Third thing, accept failure as a rhythm in life. Okay. You have to learn to look at failure different. You have to look at failure different. We mentioned failure before, right? That you have to get past it. But in order to get past failure, you've got to realize that failure really becomes a normal rhythm in your life on your road to success and the dreams that you want to see fulfilled for you and your family. You are going to fail. Accept that fact. Accept that failure will happen. And don't spend a moment being discouraged over the fact that you failed. Because failure, again, remember, is your payment. It's your car payment. It's your tuition payment to get to success, right? It's your teacher. It's the traveling teacher that goes with you. That's what failure is, okay? So accept it as a rhythm in life. You cannot expect to win big time. Big win. Oh, I'm starting this and I'm going to be the best immediately and here I go. No, don't expect that. It's unrealistic, okay? You're not going to be the best at it. You're not going to be the top performer at it, right? I have this conversation with my son when he was playing basketball and he's doing other things. He gets so frustrated when he first started because he's like, he wanted to be able to make all the shots and he wanted to be able to get all the balls and do all the stuff. And I'm like, dude, you can't be the best basketball player in the world the first time you come out on the court. That's unrealistic, right? But we live in a world where I think you guys feel the pressure of, I got to perform quick because someone else may get in front of me. May take this away from me. This opportunity will go away. Okay? So understand you're not going to win big at first, right? And that failure is part of your training. It is literally part of your training. Just like any other training, failure is an element of it. All right? Do you know that 90% of startup companies fail? Do you know that? 9 out of every 10 companies that people start fail. And the only reason they succeed is because they realign and adapt their model. They realize, oh, this is where we were going. That ain't working. Well, how can we take that and morph it and modify it and steer it over here and make it a little different? And then guess what? That's not the last time. And then how do we take that and steer it and make it something over here? That happened with us, with our company, when we founded Segment, the company that we sold, right? That happened. We were going down this pathway initially. And then all of a sudden we realized, oh no, that's not who we are, but we have this data. And what can we do with this information? We can do this with it to help the banks. And we pivoted and changed. And guess what ended up happening? We were able to survive, make it through with good people, and be able to sell the company to a global company who wanted the technology to make a difference for them. All right. Did you know that Walt Disney was fired for lacking creativity? I want you to think about that. This is the dude who started Walt Disney, right? Disney World, Disneyland, right? Walt Disney. He got fired because they said he lacked creativity. But yet, look at what he did, right? He overcame that. So it is a complete change in your mindset. You have to completely change your mindset when you think about failure. If you do not get a different mindset on this, right, it can keep you from making progression and changing who you are and finding success, okay? And then the last piece of this that I want you to think about is never quit. If it comes down to your decision, you cannot quit. You are not going to win. You're not going to be successful. You are not going to have your dreams come true if you throw in the towel and you quit. All right. You expect quick wins. You expect success. It may not happen quickly. For some people, it takes time, months, years before they see success. But you have to keep going, right? You have to keep going, right? It's a long game. It can be a long game. Some things in life can be a short quarter and you get the win, right? But there are things in life that take all 4 quarters to make the game. And you got to go through them, and they're long, right? Some things take a long time, and it's a longer game. So reset your expectations, and your reality is different. I did a session back probably, I don't even know, 15 ago, right, on expectations. I would urge you to go back and take a look at that, because we talk about the reality of expectations, and our expectations aren't real. And if we don't understand how to deal with that, and we have the wrong expectations, our life is topsy-turvy until we start realizing that our expectation doesn't many times equal reality, okay? So you need to reset your expectation on this around the fact that reality is different and you can't quit, okay? You got to keep going. You have to keep going. Just because you are running a marathon and you fall down and you get hurt, right? And you got some blood on your knee, doesn't mean that you quit the marathon, right? You just walk away off the course. It means that you might need to walk some, you might have to walk the rest of it, but you finish the race, right? So you can't quit. Did you know that Michael Jordan got cut from the high school basketball team? Michael Jordan. I think I don't even have to explain who that guy is, because I'm sure everybody listening today knows who Michael Jordan is. He got cut from his high school basketball team. Now think about that. Do you know that only 0.02 to 0.03% of people in high school make it to the NBA? Okay, listen, 0.02 to 0.03. So that's like 0.25% or 1/3% make it to the pros. And out of that, what that basically means is 2 to 3 out of every 10,000 students. That's the bottom line. 2 to 3 out of every 10,000 students make it to the NBA. All right. The chances are very minimal for a good player. And here Michael Jordan is, who got cut from his high school team. All right. Think about that. But look at the success that guy had. So out of everything that we've talked about, right? Everything that we've talked about today, the 4 things: skipping excuses and negativism, your self-esteem, looking at that, revamping that, listening to the internal discussions and not allowing yourself to be beat up and put away, learning to look at failure differently, realizing failure means more opportunity for you, and choosing never to quit. Those are the things that you need to be focused on this last episode of Checking My Vibe and redirecting my life. I want to bring you back to the word of the day, renewal, right? Today, on purpose, you can have a fresh start, right? You can purpose to change things today in your life and pivot. You can start a new journey today, right? By pivoting and going a different direction. And the way that you do that, again, is one thing at a time. Identify one thing every day that you can do around people, around your choices, and around you, right? That will make a difference at an intersection of choice, right? For you to make some changes in your life. Do one thing at a time one every day. Don't get overwhelmed with all of the stuff you want to change. Just do one thing at a time. And before long, you'll have a big list of things that you've accomplished as you do it day after day, one thing at a time. Okay? So I really appreciate you tuning in and being a part of this podcast and, given the time to look at these things about who you are. And I hope that you are learning new things that you can apply to your life. Again, the reason I'm doing this podcast and spend hours a week preparing is for you to give you information that will help you become a better individual, a better person in society, have more peace in your life, more happiness, and get direction. Okay. I want to remind you to please like the podcast, subscribe, tell your friends about the podcast, and then also see us at Talk Level Up on YouTube, at Talk Level Up on YouTube. The podcast is there. The video podcast is there, as well as shorts. And I would also point you to my book called Finding the Answer, which deals with lots of problems you're dealing with. It's a 30-minute book read. That's it. It's up on Amazon, Finding the Answer by Cale. And it will bring you down to think about some things in your life that you don't probably normally think about. Okay. Hey, what's coming? Next session, we are going to talk about money, money, money. Does it really bring happiness? Okay. Lots of stuff about money. Money runs things, right, in the world we live in. I want to talk about, does it really bring happiness? What does it do for us in our life? So thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, would you do something with what we've talked about? Remember, there's one you. You're unique. I'm John, and I'm out.